I'd rather play Twisted Fate than play Gangplank if I was trying to like hard climb. I climb really hard when I do TF. Because I definitely have the dopest style. I don't think GP is that great, honestly. I think he's kind of whack. I'm pretty sure I could pick Garen top and have better win rate. I just don't see how I would struggle climbing with like a Garen top versus Gangplank. Because with Garen, like I know how to manipulate my lead, and Garen is so fucking obnoxious when he's ahead. Even Tryndamere, same thing. Like Tryndamere's kind of squishy, so you can fuck him up. I fuck him up all the time, but like he puts a lot more pressure on the map, and you can 1v2 a bunch. Silly Silas. Jesus. Imagine making this champion and thinking that it was fair.
My vengeance will be bloody.
Nice. Good job, team. They were not having it. Still worth for me. I go mid and I see Jarvan like doing a fucking King Arthur on this dude. He was just teeing off on this Karma in mid lane. So the reason I'm not pushing up is Jarvan's never topside, and I don't really like this match. I'm not in love with this matchup. I should put it that way. Damn. It's a reals bad. I'll TP there if he does that, though. For sure. For sure I will.
Killing spree.
Fuck that. I should have used my corrupting pot, I might have lived. Wow. What is happening in this fucking game? Why my W does not go off, I have no idea. I would have killed him. That TP was a nice and high level. Ezreal trying to get the chickens. What the fuck is that? GP be giving him the pee-pee right now. Jarvan trolling. He just wants to be like me when he grows up, I guess, because he just ran right in after I did all that work. You had him. Oh. I guess he has him anyways.
Rampage.
That was my fucking GA. I am the final boss of GPs. Now we will go Baron. Hee hee. And they will lose. You wanna fight me?
Aced.
Bam. You think you lost a bit of mechanics in LoL due to Fortnite? No, not really. League isn't that mechanically intensive, man. I'm telling you, it's not. The only thing that you really have to worry about with League is it's like basically playing League is like playing a card game, right? You got to know what all the cards do, all the champions do. So like for me, I don't feel like the game is mechanically intensive because I know what most champions do. The problem is when I came back and they changed how the jungle worked and they changed how the champions like interact, and they added a couple new champions. I mean, if you go full like damage and you're winning and you don't get caught, then that's great. But the problem is there's a lot of stuff in the game that is point and click damage, and additionally when it comes down to it, like I always say, if you're playing some sort of high damage shit and the enemy team gets to a point where they can survive your burst, like, all right, say for example, you're playing like Rengar, right? And you're fed on Rengar and you press R. Well, everyone has to respect that, right? Because you can gap close and blow somebody up. So they have to group. But GP though, like there becomes a point where your combo and shit is very predictable. That's why the high damage stuff works in lower elo, but it doesn't work in higher elo. And I would argue in lower elo, I would rather have a build that's more stable. That's why I always, even with my Tryndamere and stuff, I stay away from like full damage builds. Just because it's like, maybe certain champions can get away with it, but like, when you get a lead, you don't want to lose it, you know? And furthermore, when you get a lead, you want to impose, right? If you're playing like a squishy champion and your team is useless, all right, let's pretend that your team is like dog shit useless, okay? If you're playing a squishy champion like Gangplank and your teammates don't really put out a zone, right? If they don't like... You've got a Morgana support, and she's just one of those like passive e-girl like grapefruit supports, right? And she just sits behind the lane or sits behind the team, and she never goes for anything. She never makes anything happen. Well, the problem is if you're playing like a high damage style, you want something to happen, right? Like you need to set up a triple barrel or you're pretty much useless. So like when you're doing the style like this, when you do like, you know, Sterix and then eventually you get like a GA and like Ghostblade, you've got wiggle room. You can get in people's face and you can start fights and you can trade aggressively and you can leverage the fact that you've like gotten a lead. Because I feel like when I go full damage, sometimes I can pull it off, but then like sometimes you just kind of get boned by like compositions and you can't move. Like you just get stuck at your tower and like you can't play up because you know you're just gonna get popped because the enemy team's got just more, they can take up more space on the map. It's one of the reasons why like it's always that reality with solo queue. It's like if you want something done, you got to do it yourself. You want the Malphite or whoever to waste their ults on you, that like in order for your team to carry, then this build would do that, right? If you want to be able to step off of the tower when you get a lead and actually like challenge people and maybe challenge some 2v1s like out of the tower instead of just waiting for a triple barrel, this would be the build for that. That's why I do it, because if you don't do a build like this, you get stuck in a position where you can't move.
Yeah, I can only say that it feels right.